At 32 years old, Kunle had attended over 70 job interviews without success. His girlfriend had left him. His friends called him a failure. His family had almost given up on him. Yet every day, he repeated the same words. God will make a way. Everyone laughed at his faith. Until one phone call changed his life forever. If you enjoy powerful African stories that inspire, challenge, and move you, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what happens next. Kunle never imagined life would turn out this way. 5 years earlier, he had graduated from university with excellent results. On graduation day, his mother cried tears of joy. His father walked around their neighborhood proudly telling everyone that his son would soon become a successful professional. The future looked bright. Very bright. But after graduation came reality. The kind of reality nobody talks about during convocation ceremonies. The kind that hits like a moving trailer on Third Mainland Bridge. 1 month passed. Then 6. Then 1 year. No job. Another year. Still nothing. Every morning, Kunle woke up before dawn. He would carefully iron one of his 2 remaining office shirts. Then he would squeeze himself into overcrowded Danfo buses. Sometimes standing. Sometimes sweating. Sometimes praying silently. Interview after interview. Application after application. Rejection after rejection. We regret to inform you. Those words became more familiar than his own name. At first, his friends encouraged him. Then they started avoiding him. Then they started mocking him. One evening, while sitting at a buka with some old university friends, the conversation turned uncomfortable. One of them laughed. Guy, you're still searching? The others chuckled. Kunle forced a smile. Another friend shook his head. 5 years after school? Omo, this one past job hunting. The table exploded with laughter. Kunle laughed too. But inside, something broke. Because they didn't know what happened every night after he got home. They didn't see him lying awake staring at the ceiling. They didn't hear him crying quietly when everyone else was asleep. They didn't know he was surviving on hope and prayer. And things were about to get worse. One Saturday afternoon, his girlfriend called. Her voice sounded different. Cold. Almost rehearsed. We need to talk. Those 4 words instantly made his stomach tighten. For 20 minutes she spoke. And every sentence felt like a knife. Her parents wanted her to move on. They didn't believe Kunle had a future. They didn't want their daughter waiting forever. She apologized. She cried. Then she left. Just like that. 3 years of promises disappeared in one conversation. The woman who once prayed with him every night was suddenly gone. Kunle sat alone on the edge of his bed. Silent. Broken. Confused. For the first time, he questioned everything. His efforts. His dreams. Even his faith. But the next morning, he still went to church. Not because he felt strong. Not because he had answers. But because he didn't know where else to go. The preacher spoke about perseverance. About trusting God during seasons that made no sense. People shouted, Amen. Kunle tried to believe. But deep down, doubt had started growing. Then another problem arrived. His landlord. 3 months rent overdue. No excuses. No extensions. No mercy. You have 2 weeks, the landlord said firmly. After that, leave my property. Kunle nodded. But inside, panic took over. 2 weeks. No job. No savings. No girlfriend. No support. Nothing. That night, he knelt beside his bed. The same bed he might soon lose. His prayer was different this time. There were no big words. No fancy declarations. Just tears. And one simple sentence. God, I can't do this alone anymore. Little did he know. Someone was watching. Not from heaven. Not from church. But from a place he never expected. And within days, a single decision would set off a chain of events that would shock everyone who had laughed at his faith. including Kunle himself. The following Monday started like every other disappointing Monday. Kunle woke up before sunrise. His phone contained no missed calls, no interview invitations, no miracle messages. Nothing. He sighed and placed the phone back on the small table beside his bed. The room felt smaller than usual. Maybe because the deadline from his landlord was getting closer. 12 days left. 12 days before he would have nowhere to sleep. As he prepared to leave, his mother called. Whenever she called, he tried to sound cheerful. He didn't want her worrying. But mothers always know. "My son, are you okay?" she asked softly. Kunle forced a laugh. "I'm fine, Mama." There was silence. Then she said something that caught him off guard. "I had a dream about you." His heart skipped. "What kind of dream?" "I saw many people celebrating you." Kunle smiled weakly. "Mama, maybe you ate too much pounded yam before sleeping." She laughed. But then her voice became serious. "Don't stop believing." After the call ended, Kunle sat quietly. For some reason, those words stayed with him. Don't stop believing. Hours later, he arrived at a small community center where he volunteered twice a week. Nobody paid him. But teaching young students gave him purpose. Many people thought he was wasting his time. Even some relatives mocked him. Volunteer work won't feed you. Prayer won't pay rent. Hope won't solve your problems. Yet he kept showing up. That afternoon, while teaching mathematics, he noticed an elderly man standing near the back of the classroom. The man watched silently. No interruptions. No questions. Just watching. When the lesson ended, the stranger approached him. "You teach here regularly?" "Yes, sir." The man nodded. "Interesting." That was all. Then he left. Kunle thought nothing of it. Why would he? His mind was occupied with survival. The next day brought another humiliation. A former classmate drove past him in a luxury SUV. The same classmate who used to borrow money from him during university. The man rolled down his window. "Kunle!" Kunle smiled. "Good to see you." The man looked him up and down. Then came the question Kunle hated most. "So, what are you doing now?" Not what job. Not where do you work. What are you doing now? As if his entire existence had become a mystery. Kunle answered politely. "I'm still exploring opportunities." The man nodded. But the look on his face said everything. Pity. Before driving away, he handed Kunle some cash. Like charity. Like a beggar. Kunle stared at the money. His pride screamed at him to reject it. But hunger won. That night he used part of the money to buy food. Then something unexpected happened. His phone buzzed. A message from Samson. The same friend who constantly mocked his faith. "Bro, I have something for you. Call me." Kunle called immediately. For a brief moment, hope returned. Maybe a job lead. Maybe an opportunity. Maybe something. Instead, Samson laughed. "I know some guys making serious money online." Kunle frowned. "What kind of money?" "The kind that solves problems." Silence. Kunle already knew. Internet fraud. Quick money. Dangerous money. The type of money many desperate young men had started chasing. "Think about it," Samson said. "You're 32. No job. No future. No girlfriend. How long will you keep suffering?" The words hurt because they contained pieces of truth. After the call ended, Kunle sat alone for hours. Thinking. Questioning. Struggling. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe faith was not enough. Maybe integrity was making him poor. Maybe he was the fool. For the first time in years, temptation felt reasonable. Very reasonable. Then his eyes landed on a notebook lying beside his bed. Inside it were prayers he had written over the years. Promises. Dreams. Scriptures. Hope. Slowly, he closed the notebook. Then he made a decision. No shortcuts. No matter how hard life became. The next morning, he received another phone call. Unknown number. Again. He almost ignored it. But something told him to answer. Hello? A calm voice responded. Good morning. Am I speaking with Kunle? Yes. This is Mr. Okafor. Kunle searched his memory. The name meant nothing. Then the voice continued. We met at the community center. Suddenly, Kunle remembered. The elderly man. The one who watched him teach. His heart started beating faster. Sir? I would like to meet you. Kunle swallowed hard. What for? There was a pause. Then the old man said something that made him freeze completely. I believe you may be the person I've been looking for. And at that moment, Kunle had no idea that the next meeting would change not only his life, but the lives of everyone who had ever laughed at him. Kunle barely slept that night. Over and over, he replayed the conversation in his head. I believe you may be the person I've been looking for. What did that even mean? Who was this man? And why would a stranger be interested in him? By sunrise, his mind was full of questions. By noon, he was sitting inside a quiet restaurant in Victoria Island. His palms were sweating. His stomach was tight. Across from him sat Mr. Okafor, the same elderly man from the community center. For a few moments neither of them spoke. Then Mr. Okafor smiled. You look nervous. Kunle laughed awkwardly. Honestly, sir, I am. I expected that. The older man took a sip of water. Then he asked a strange question. Why do you teach those children? Kunle blinked. Of all the questions he expected, that wasn't one of them. I don't know, sir. Try. Kunle thought for a moment. Because someone helped me when I was younger. Mr. Okafor nodded. And? Because the children deserve a chance. And? Kunle hesitated. Then he spoke from the heart. Because I don't want my struggles to make me bitter. The old man smiled. A genuine smile. The kind that suggested he was listening carefully. For the next hour they talked. Not about certificates. Not about grades. Not about connections. They talked about life. Character. Integrity. Purpose. Faith. When the meeting ended, Mr. Okafor stood up. Then he handed Kunle a business card. Be at this address tomorrow morning. Kunle looked down. His eyes widened. The address belonged to one of the biggest corporate buildings in Lagos. Before he could ask questions, Mr. Okafor had already left. That night anxiety kept him awake. Was this real? Was someone playing a prank? Had he misunderstood everything? The next morning, he arrived at the building. The security guards checked his name. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of directing him to reception, they escorted him upstairs. Very far upstairs. The higher they went, the more nervous he became. Finally, the elevator doors opened. A receptionist greeted him immediately. Mr. Kunle, welcome. His heart skipped. She knew his name. Minutes later, he was led into a large conference room. And what he saw nearly stopped his heart. Executives. Managers. Directors. People in expensive suits. All waiting. For him. Then the door opened. Mr. Okafor walked in. But this time, everyone stood up. Every single person. The room instantly became silent. Kunle looked around, confused. What was happening? Mr. Okafor smiled. Then he finally revealed the truth. I never properly introduced myself. Kunle's chest tightened. The old man continued. I founded this company 30 years ago. Kunle froze. His eyes widened. Suddenly everything made sense. The respect. The building. The executives. The influence. Mr. Okafor wasn't an ordinary retiree. He was the founder. The man who built one of the country's fastest-growing organizations. And then came the statement that changed everything. We have been searching for someone to lead our new community development initiative. Kunle's breathing became shallow. Mr. Okafor continued. We interviewed candidates from across the country. A pause. Many had impressive qualifications. Another pause. But very few had character. The room remained silent. Then Mr. Okafor looked directly at Kunle. I watched you teach children without pay. I watched how you treated people. I listened to your story. And I believe you're the right person. Kunle felt his vision blur. Tears gathered in his eyes. This couldn't be real. After years of rejection. After years of humiliation. After years of pain. This was happening. Right here. Right now. Then came the final shock. The salary package. When they showed him the offer, Kunle thought there had been a mistake. The amount was more money than he had earned in several years combined. His hands trembled. His eyes filled with tears. For a moment, he couldn't speak. All he could think about was that tiny room in Ajigunle. The unpaid rent. The sleepless nights. The heartbreak. The hunger. The shame. And suddenly, every painful moment felt different. Because now he could see what he couldn't see before. The story wasn't ending. It had been preparing him. But the biggest surprise was still coming. Because news of Kunle's breakthrough was about to spread. And the people who laughed the loudest were about to come back into his life. Within 3 weeks, everything changed. The landlord who had threatened to throw Kunle out was suddenly smiling whenever he saw him. The neighbors who rarely greeted him now stopped him on the street. People who had ignored his calls for years suddenly remembered his number. His phone wouldn't stop ringing. Congratulations. Greetings. Fake concern. Unexpected friendships. Everyone wanted access. Everyone wanted connection. Everyone wanted to be associated with success. And then the messages started arriving. The first came from an old university classmate. Bro, I've always believed in you. Kunle stared at the screen and laughed. Because he remembered exactly how that same person had mocked him at a restaurant months earlier. The second message came from another friend. Let's catch up soon. Interesting. Because during his hardest days, that friend couldn't even reply to a simple text. Then came the message that made him pause. It was from Samson. The same Samson who had laughed at his faith. The same Samson who had tried to convince him to join internet fraud. The same Samson who called him hopeless. The message was simple. Can we meet? For several minutes, Kunle just stared at it. Part of him wanted to ignore it. Part of him wanted revenge. Part of him wanted Samson to experience the same rejection he had experienced. But another voice inside him said something different. So he agreed. 2 days later, they met at a small restaurant. The moment Samson sat down, Kunle noticed something was wrong. Very wrong. The confidence was gone. The expensive clothes were gone. The arrogance was gone. The man sitting across from him looked exhausted. Broken. Defeated. For a few moments, neither spoke. Then Samson lowered his head. I owe you an apology. Kunle remained silent. I mocked you. Silence. I laughed at your faith. Silence. I thought you were foolish. His voice began to crack. And now my life is falling apart. Kunle listened carefully. The quick money Samson had chased had disappeared. The people he trusted had betrayed him. The lifestyle he used to show off on social media had collapsed. Debt. Problems. Regret. Pain. Everything had caught up with him. Then something unexpected happened. Samson started crying. Not dramatically. Not loudly. Just quietly. Like a man carrying years of disappointment. I wish I had listened to you. Kunle looked at him for a long moment. This was the moment many people would choose revenge. This was the moment many people would enjoy. But Kunle remembered every night he had prayed. Every sermon about forgiveness. Every lesson pain had taught him. And so he reached across the table. Placed his hand on Samson's shoulder. And said something Samson never expected to hear. It's not too late. Samson looked up. Shocked. What? It's not too late to start again. The man broke down completely. Because sometimes the greatest victory isn't proving people wrong. Sometimes it's helping them stand again. Months passed. Then a year. Then 2. Kunle's impact continued growing. The community initiative expanded across several states. Thousands of young people received scholarships. Small businesses received support. Families found opportunities. Lives changed. And everywhere he went, people asked the same question. How did you survive those years? The answer never changed. One evening, during a youth conference packed with struggling graduates, Kunle stood on stage. The hall was silent. Many of the faces looking at him reminded him of his younger self. Worried. Frustrated. Afraid. Tired. People carrying dreams that seemed delayed. People wondering if their prayers still mattered. Then Kunle spoke. There were days I thought God had forgotten me. The audience became completely still. There were nights I cried myself to sleep. More silence. There were moments I wanted to quit. You could hear a pin drop. Then he smiled. But I learned something. He paused. The delay was not the denial. Many people nodded. Some wiped tears from their eyes. Then he shared the words that would later spread across social media. Words that touched thousands of lives. People laughed because they saw my situation. I kept believing because I trusted God's timing. The room erupted in applause. Not because of his success, but because they understood the journey. The pain. The waiting. The faith. And years later, whenever Kunle remembered the tiny room in Ajigano, the unpaid rent, the heartbreak, the humiliation, and the loneliness, he no longer asked why those things happened. Because he finally understood. The same season that looked like punishment had actually been preparation. The same struggle that made people laugh had built the character that opened the door. And the same faith everyone mocked became the reason his story inspired thousands. So if you're watching this today and life isn't going the way you planned, don't give up. Your story may be taking longer than expected, but that doesn't mean it's over. Sometimes the chapter that feels like the end is only the beginning of something greater. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs encouragement today. And before you go, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from, and have you ever gone through a season where everyone doubted you but you refused to give up? Because someone reading your story might find the strength to keep believing. Remember this, your circumstances can change overnight, but the character you build during hard times can change your life forever.